It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
Yes, this is the 260. I'm Joe Walburn. I'm joined by the man they call the mayor of the 260, Dave Rickert, and we're just rolling through the 260, laying down that content. We got Sonar joining us, and I want to say shouts out to Sonar last week on episode 15.
Great job.
That was epic,
Great
man.
job.
You in front of the boards. That was the purest Sonar I ever saw. Fantastic with the recap. Loved how you worked in Walter Jordan and some of those great interviews we've had with the 260. But I tell you what, right now, Dave, I'm excited. Look at this bad boy right here, Sonar. Look at that. Look at that 260 chain right here.
Pretty.
And my man, Max Coffey, from now on, he's a.k.a. Max Strong. Laid it down at the Hoosier Flex, baby.
Seems fitting.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Champion, man. Congratulations.
Thank
What
you.
a weekend you had.
All the
Wow, man. Show those. Look at those beautiful medals. Get those up there, bro. Don't be shy. You earned those.
They
Worked
can
hard.
hear 'em. They can hear 'em.
Clang those together like those 45-pound plates. Isn't that right, Denise? So, look at that.
Sounds nice. Like
Tremendous.
cowbell.
Yeah, cowbell. Wow.
This
You
is-
said you were going to get it done.
And you
Dave
did.
Dave looked at me, and Dave said, Joe, he's got that look in his eye.
Dude.
And you called your shot. You said you were going to get it done. Congratulations, you got it done.
I appreciate it.
Take us through it, man. I mean, you show up on Saturday. It's game time for you.
Yeah.
Take us through what that was like and how you felt with the confidence. And it's funny, I saw you a couple of weeks before, about a week and a half before.
Yeah.
Now, no offense, you just
Nope.
weren't very nice, man.
No.
You know what I mean?
know
I was
that.
like,
I know that.
and I saw you in the gym, and you seemed kind of distant and frustrated. And then all of a sudden, man, the picture showed up, man. So tell us what it was like kind of putting those carbs back in and then that lead up to that beautiful day on Saturday for you.
Well, so for about 4 weeks, I went on a cycle of, you could say, no carbs. So it was about a month of no carbs, and at that point, I was really just fully fueled by nothing but eggs, chicken, green beans, and water. No salt, no seasons, nothing. I cut sauces. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. We cut sauces. I went that whole way, and if you don't know, trying to break your body down, break your muscles down, and refueling it without carb is hard. So
Yeah.
it got to the point where I had a great physique 6 weeks out from the show. And then we get to that point that you're talking about where I was carb depleted and being mean, and my friends can attest to that.
I didn't want to be around you.
Yeah,
You know what I
know.
wanted to
Nobody
do?
did. Nobody did.
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to around to my truck and get you an oatmeal cream pie. But I know you couldn't have it, bro.
I know, man.
not
A Rice
Snickers
Krispie
bad.
treat would have just went crazy. I was a Snickers. Yeah, that was not me because I was hungry, man.
But you know
And-
what? Joking aside, man, talk about the discipline, because Dave always talks about the discipline to me. Is it harder to pump the iron and just lift the weights, or is it just the mental grind of the diet?
Mental
man?
grind of the diet. I'll say that right now because let me tell you something. Do you love lifting weights?
Yes, I love lifting weights, and
If someone took that away from you, would you be mad?
yes,
Do you love eating burgers and wings and/or pizza sometimes?
Oh, most definitely. I
And if someone took that away from you, would you be mad?
yes, I would be very mean.
I kept the weights. I was pumping the iron. Food was taken, man. That's where my energy got so low
He
up,
was
and I was
angry.
mean.
Not
Exactly.
angry, hangry.
Yeah, it
Hangry,
was.
huh?
It was not, and that's all the discipline. And like that week and a half when I was hurting, I was flat and I was watered down, and I trusted the process like a lot of athletes struggle with. Like, you have to trust the process. It's the science of it. When the carbs come in, they dry up that water that I was loading for those last 2 weeks of no carbs, and then we cut the water Thursday before the show, load up on carbs a little bit, and Derek, I don't know why, because he made me wait a little bit to carb up. He made me wait until after weigh-ins.
And that's the great Derek Evie with
Hercules
Nutrition.
Do you have this?
Yeah, show us. Get that picture up there.
Got to.
Wow, look at that, everybody.
That man.
Look at that, man.
Yeah.
There he goes. Got to put him right there.
So what Derek did was he made it clear to me. He goes, now we're going to carb up. I know you got 10 pounds, because I was 10 pounds under the weight limit for my classic division. He goes, we're going to carb up, don't worry. But a lot of bodybuilders spill over. So you don't want to eat too many carbs and then come looking a little bit flabbier. A little bit. I mean, it makes a difference. So spilling over is something. It's huge.
Spilling over, huh?
Yeah, that's carbing up too much before the show.
So when I'm rolling down the road 11:30 at night with my big gulp and my oatmeal cream pie,
you already know you're probably spilling over.
I'm spilling over. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it, man.
So we wanted to avoid that, and Derek hit the nail on the head. I'm telling you,
the timing, but how does he know the timing of it, man?
it's crazy. It's literally overnight. When you are watered down and you eat a surplus of carbs and no more water's entering your body, when you're going to the bathroom and urinating still from 2 gallons constantly for the past 2 weeks, and then it just like kind of shuts off. Your body's like, wait, I've been pumping water out for like 2 weeks straight. Now there's carbs in me, dried up. Now the water stopped. I promise you, overnight, when I had that carb up, what it was a 400-gram portion of rice, just a mound. I ate that, woke up the next day, and lost weight.
Wow. So
And
it's
then
such a
I
sign
went in
you
there
lost
dry as a bone, no water
Uh-huh.
in me, and people even said, like, Max, you did not look like that 3 or 4 days ago. And I'm like, that's the peak. That's
the
all
peak.
it is.
And don't you think, now correct me if I'm wrong, do you think a lot of bodybuilding, I mean, obviously, you've got to put the work in.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to be, I mean, I admire you guys, the discipline with the diet, but isn't a part of it a little bit of an illusion, the way you can kind of shape your body?
It really is. It is, I mean, it is an enigma. I have never seen anything like that. I mean, we took off. I didn't do any cardio from August to March, hitting a bulk. And then once, a lot of people even said, like, pros usually do cardio year round. I was like, yeah, that's true. I'm not a pro, but, I mean, I'm trusting this man. And I like the way I look. I like the way I feel, so let's watch. Then we get to prep, and I pulled cardio out of the bag, and it's like, my body was like, oh, this is new. Melted fat off. Probably a good 40 pounds in like 6 weeks.
So it was. So as Dave always talks about in the 260, the journey. Man, this body, you know, to win these beautiful medals.
Exactly.
What a journey, man.
Yeah.
Now talk about that journey for a second. I mean, how deep did you have to dig, man? I mean, did you feel like you really learned more about yourself just having to have the discipline to be able to do this, Max?
100%. This was the hardest thing mentally and physically that I have ever accomplished. Very proud of it. And the journey is something crazy, because I remember I didn't advertise about it a lot, but I competed in the Hoosier Flex last year.
Yeah,
I didn't make my weight for the classic division, so I didn't even compete in it. I went there, and on the scale, I was overweight, or just over the weight class limit. It's 197.5 pounds. I think I was like 207 last year. So I was like, okay.
Kind of a learning process, though, right?
But I competed in a novice open bodybuilding and open bodybuilding, and I got last place in open bodybuilding and 5th out of 6th in novice. And this year I turned it on. I felt so good. I didn't even do the novice class. Novice you do, which means you've never won your class before. So now I'm not even eligible for that.
I see.
Because so then that moves you into open. If you've won your class, now you can only compete in open. I just wanted the open divisions. Honestly, I don't know. I just really wanted the open divisions. That's all I came for. A novice trophy was something that I had my eyes set on this one. I had my eyes set on this one. I didn't even want to have – I wanted 100% going into this trophy before I wanted anything going into a novice trophy.
Take a moment and explain these trophies and what you were able to be victorious in. So kind of take us through the trophies and your medals. What's this one? Talk about this one. Look at this one.
This one
Look at
specifically.
That. You know what I like about this one?
Very important.
It's got that 260 necklace on it.
It
But
looks
tell us what this is.
This is actually a trophy that was given to me by a man named Sean Lehner. He's an owner of Savage Life And that is a company just like Hercules based out of Mishawaka, but that is coming to Fort Wayne more often and is signing clients in Fort Wayne. And there also talks of opening up a gym in Fort Wayne potentially.
Awesome.
I may not say more about that, but I hope that
sure.
comes to fruition, because what it sounds like it's going to be is more of a unapologetically bodybuilding gym. So that may be something I would like to explore. But Sean is a great man. A lot of my friends and competitors, a couple of people from Iron are coached under him, and his coaching was elite. He helped me, gave me some tips on Saturday, and then he saw this award he handed out to the most savage male competitor. There was a female one as well. But I mean, that's what I wanted to bring. It's more than just how you look and your muscles. If you don't bring a persona to the stage, the judges will not recognize that too.
This one right here is not a joke.
That's not a joke. This one, though, I'd put this by my nightstand when I went to bed at night. Be like, most savage, man. I'd look at that before I go to sleep. Now, Dave's right.
What
Dave,
I tried to embody.
What's that one, Dave?
That's his overall.
That's the overall. That's beautiful.
This is the men's bodybuilding overall open champion.
Yeah.
This, I mean,
I see you. Woo! I see you, baby. Woo!
This one means,
baby.
I mean, it still gets me, man. It still gets me. And things like this is like, it's still just so surreal. It's still hitting me. It's still sinking in.
Man.
But this, I just see this and I'm like, man,
Look at
I can do
grip. That thing is
absolutely anything. Seriously.
Pick that up, Joe.
And you know what? And you know what? I think that's the message. Whether it's, your bodybuilding, the
Try picking
female
that up.
bodybuilding.
That's no joke.
We had marathoners on. Wow, that is heavy and
Felt like I won the
solid.
PGA Tour.
Yeah.
But how empowering is that, man? Like, that's something that nobody can ever take from you, brother.
Dude, it's crazy. Very empowering, and like I want to bring it to Fort Wayne, to the 260. Like,
260.
especially the gyms that I'm involved with, like Spiece and Iron Society. Like, I want to bring some energy to it.
I mean, we're here tonight at Spiece.
Seriously.
Talk about Spiece in the gym here. We're seeing the memberships up, man. People come to Spiece and get after it.
Energy.
How about a little love for Spiece tonight? Spiece
Seriously,
Fitness, man.
hey, how about them? And Hercules is here all the time. I
Yes.
mean, guys, we pretty much got it down to a science. And not only that, if you don't want to work with us, just work around us, because we're bringing energy that you can feel. You know,
Yeah.
You don't have to work with us. Just work around us, and I promise you, we want you to get this work as well.
Well,
you
Max,
know?
you said you was up to 20 clients now. Mm-hmm. And that they're all here, correct?
They are half here and half at Spiece, and some are even more remote. Okay. So my coaching clients, not personal training, are all over the place with the capability to be all over the place. There's a handful of them here, a handful of them at Iron, and that's where they mostly make up. But there's also a couple ones that are out-of-state friends. I have a couple relatives in there, multiple people. Like, really, coaching is anything, anybody can do it. So,
Do you enjoy that? Just using your knowledge and coaching?
absolutely love it. Like, from day one. I mean, I think I officially kicked off with the coaching part of it, not kick the career off, not just the schooling and the training that went into it that I did with Derek, for over a year and a half.
Well, talk about
but
that right there.
This,
what this means to you is Derek and all those people there.
These people right here. It was,
Beautiful.
what I did on Saturday was 50% me, and the other half was these people right here. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I did without an absolute bulletproof team, and we put it together. And when I lacked, they picked me up. When I was down, I tried to raise them up too, to let them know.
Look at that.
They did a great job.
And that's the end result right here.
Yeah, baby.
That one.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I see you, baby. That's 260 dog right there.
Appreciate it, man.
Max Strong.
Do you see that 69?
Yeah, I love
It's like
that,
the
man.
260 right there.
Yep.
I love it,
Exactly.
man. And
Exactly.
just quickly to finish up on the competition, what was the moment where you were like, man, I got this? Because there's some great guys, and you can mention some of those names, the guys you competed with.
Yeah.
But what was that moment on stage where you were kind of looking around, or did you have that moment where you're like, man, I think I got this?
It was at weigh-ins the night before.
At weigh-ins
The night before.
Huh? So you felt that good the night before? Wow. Wow.
I'm not, and I talk a lot, but I walk a lot, and I don't want people to mistake my confidence for being cocky. I don't even call it confidence. I literally just call it manifesting greatness. I speak it and I do it.
I had a football coach one time. He told me, he says, it ain't bragging if you can do it.
Exactly. I mean, and I'd like to say everything that I've said, I've done thus far. So
Okay, what's next?
what's next?
You
As
gonna
of
chase
now,
you gonna chase that pro card? I think Dave and I.
100%.
Well, I think Sonar, Denise, Charlene, Ryan, Brumby, Dave, and we wouldn't mind maybe doing a small sponsorship and helping you chase that pro card. I think it's awesome, man.
I would love it. As of now, for the pro card, that's only a matter of time. My goal for that is I will be at IFBB Pro before I turn 25. That would be November 1st, 2025. And as of now, my next move is I plan to ride this hype into the state championship bodybuilding contest. Okay. That is in Muncie, Indiana on August 5th. NPC State Muscle Championships. I really just want to see. I mean, it feels like I got it in the city or in the region, in the area.
Yeah, get out.
I want to see. I want to see what these monsters in Indiana look like, and I want to see where I line up against them. That's going to be a harder show. I already know. Like, I've seen a couple of these guys on Instagram that I've followed, even been a fan of for like well over a year since I started this bodybuilding, and it's just surreal that already I might be able to stand up there with them.
So he said that he's going to lay off a little bit. He's still working, but he's going to not hit it hard until after the.
I'm going to watch my hunger for the next 2 weeks. watch my hunger.
Okay, big question.
Then
man.
he's going to
big
hit
question. Overall champion, you win it. You take care of business. Take us through that first meal, brother. I mean, what was on your plate, man? Are we talking, burgers? Are we talking pancakes? Are we talking extra butter with the syrup? Are we talking my favorite all-time greatest dessert, oatmeal cream pie? What is Max Strong laying down on the plate after that?
I've had a couple meals since. I did it smart. There was an after party after the flex held by the promoters, and I had some appetizers there. My stomach was not the size to handle the caliber meal that I wanted to yet, so I gave it a warm-up the night before. And then the morning after, I went to Joanna's on Leo Crossing.
And he put a hurting to Joanna's.
Oh, you got after it, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
well
the waitress looked at me, and she was like, "You're eating all that?" And I was like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "Well, I believe it." I was like, "All right." And then I also had a country fried steak skillet.
You should have better.
A couple chocolate milks. Beautiful. There's a video. I'll send it to you maybe for Spiece's Instagram. It's the finishing part of these blueberry ice cream, sweet cream, French toast, whatever it was. I can't even remember. It went down. But, dude, it's me just tilting the plate with the rest of the ice cream and the cream. Beautiful. Loved it.
It's like John Candy and finishing up that big old steak.
Yeah, that was great.
Literally.
Man, well, we are so proud of you, man. And you know what?
Appreciate it.
The point of the show that we all have a vision, and Dave always talks about, is just really, man, being able to celebrate, man, great moments and achievements in the 260. Mm-hmm. I personally watched you build into this, man, and I couldn't be any more proud of you. And I guess the last question is, I want you to look in the camera, and I want you to tell everybody out there, man, just talk to them about the discipline of weightlifting and the kid that's out there. I mean, when I was 16, 17 years old, I think I was about 6'2", $160, and I needed some place to start to get stronger. Give some inspiration out there of how these kids out there can do it right and get strong and work hard in the weight room.
Well, there's one thing about weightlifting that's unique that I've always loved is, you got these stud athletes in high school or in middle school, but in weightlifting, it doesn't matter your build, where you can start from wherever. You can get in there and do it, know, right. And you can start. Everybody's got a different starting point, but that's really not the what you focus on. When you're getting onto the journey, you're not even looking back. We're looking forward. It should be like that from the start. So, I mean, if you're struggling not to find your lane, you can't find a passion, you're not having motivation, you need something, to fill your time, something that might light a fire in you. Try picking up a weight, man, because I promise you, it's rewarding. You get out 100% of what you put in. There's nothing as honest in life in the gym, and it'll flourish into all other parts of your life. You become successful in the gym. You're a salesman, guarantee your sales are through the roof. You're a husband, guarantee you're taking care of your family the best you ever have. Anything. You look good, you feel good, the confidence is there. If you don't do anything, you might as well pick up a weight.
That's a great message. Proud of you, brother. A name spoken with pride in the bodybuilding community, Dave, in the 260.
Yeah.
And he called his shot.
Yeah.
Max Coffee, a.k.a. Max Strong.
And, hey, maybe next time I come on the podcast, it'll as Mr. Indiana.
Hey, you know what? Let's do it. You know what?
Let's run it.
Chase those dreams, man. Proud of you, brother. Thanks for joining us,
Thanks for
man.
having me, guys.
Absolutely. Look at all those beautiful awards. So that's Max Coffee, a.k.a. Max Strong. Coming up next.
Max Strong. Out.
And coming up next, it's time to talk a little youth football. And we got Brian Nix here from the Carroll Youth Football. Brian's working hard with a lot of great people out Northwest, Dave, and they are laying down the foundation of that greatness for the Carroll High School football program. So up next, Brian Nix from Carroll Youth Football on the 260.
It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
It feels like we're taking the crown. It feels like we were born to be champions. We were born to be champions. We were born to have a name in the lights, 'cause we're taking a ride to the top, to the top. Born to be champions. We were born to be champions.
Yes, this is the 260. And Dave, if that doesn't get you fired up to go pump some iron, man, I don't know what will. I want to go downstairs, Sonar. I want to make those plates ring as I put them on that bench press, man. How about that, Dave?
I'm just glad we had him on twice now. First time, now
call,
he's a winner.
Yeah, Dave does such a nice job lining these shows up, and now we're joined by the great Matt Brumball, so great to have Brummy with us, and nobody knows coaching like Brummy. That just seemed kind of appropriate to have Matt with us, Dave, as we celebrate Brian Nix. And Brian, thank you for coming on, man. You know what? You've had so much success. Look at this trophy. This is the night of trophies, Sonar. Look at that beautiful trophy. Brian, you've put so much work in, and you've had so many people out Northwest work so hard with the Carroll Youth Football program. And youth football is something that is not only dear to me, it's very dear to Matt Brumball and Dave. So we want to congratulate you for coming on, and we want to hear a little bit about the hard work and the journey you guys have had, because on Friday nights, brother, Hunter Sosenheimer, who's coming up next, Hunter and I, you know, we get opportunities on Summit City Sports to do games and to see the finished product at the high school level. And our football is blowing up in this area, isn't it, Hunter? We love it. But we wanted to bring a man like you on to talk about really where it all starts and how you guys are building that youth program for Carroll.
Yeah, really appreciate you having me on. Love talking Charger Youth Football. And
Yes.
And it was originally HAP, right?
Yeah, it used to be HAP, and that stood for Huntertown, Arcola, Perry Hill. And we turned it into Charger Youth Football, and we've had, an amazing journey. There were some times where we were down, and there was a lot of work that went into building our numbers up. And it used to be that we could just not even advertise, and 220 kids would show up. And about 2017, numbers kind of went down. We had to work really, really hard to build it back up, and it took a lot of work. And there's so many people to thank. Our main sponsor is OPS, Optimal Performance Sports.
Yeah, thankful, and we're so thankful for OPS, not only in the Charger youth football program, but Dave, everything that OPS is doing in the 260.
Yeah, Dr. Russell, Dr. Jason Russell, put some respect on it.
Oh yeah, he should be. You know what? This beautiful chain we got here, the 260.
Get him one.
I need to get Dr. Russell one of those chains because he's putting so much into 260.
But yeah, them and their support, it helps get helmets and referees and equipment and the things that you need for a successful league. It helps so much. And there's just
How did he get involved?
Well, they're our main sponsor, so we were seeking a main sponsor, and we reached out to him. One of the board members is friends with him, and then it just kind of evolved. I know both of his boys played in our league. Really? So, and Jason coached, and so, having that sponsorship helps.
That's a huge help.
Yes, it's unbelievably helpful, and our team sponsors help, and there's 13 board members a part of Charge Youth Football.
How many teams do you have a year?
So we have 8 teams.
Wow, you have 8 teams, huh? Wow.
Yes, sir. And we have a JV and a varsity. So JV is 3rd and 4th grade. Varsity is 5th and 6th. So they're each different colors. You've got black, blue, green, gray, orange, purple, white, and red.
You guys just play each other, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that's the best way to do it. I went out to with Jake Smith out to Columbia City for their youth league. Nowhere near what you guys are doing, but we had 4 teams, and we would split them up in colors like that. And Jake coached the offense, and a little bit of intensity with me. I coached the defense, but a lot of it though that people don't realize is, and I want you to speak to this, being there for the kids, Brian, but also the organization of it all.
Yeah, it takes a ton of work to run a youth league properly. There are so many things that are done behind the scenes that parents don't see, that other people don't see. I mean, we are in meetings all year long.
Yes.
Every month there's a board meeting. We're
last week
organizing.
was your board meeting.
What's that?
I went to join last week, and you had a board meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we get together. There's a lot of planning. Everybody has a role, and there are people on our board that just selflessly serve. And it's fun to be a part of, but the most fun is watching the kids. And we do so many things. Like we have a jamboree where we just have an exhibition with the kids. There's food trucks out there.
It's awesome.
So we're on the up, and it's fun to be a part of.
How many kids are you at this year?
So far we're at 225.
Wow! And congratulations, man.
Yeah, and
that's so many kids.
And registration's still going until
registration is still open, and we're open till we probably go till about the first week of August.
Okay.
So then we close registration down, and we're open to anybody. ChargerYouthFootball.com. You do not have to live in the Carroll district to play.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
Now
Yes,
that's
sir.
interesting.
I didn't
Yes,
know
sir.
that.
That's interesting.
So
anybody can send your kid.
yeah, we've had kids that play St. Charles or Snyder or whatever. Right now we don't discriminate on that.
It's good.
And I coach at Carroll Middle, and I tell the parents, football's for everyone. They want to know, do you cut? No, football is for everyone. I take anybody that wants to play. So
Well, that's what Brummy always talks about with sports, don't you, Brummy?
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked earlier, me and Brian, about just the community aspect of what's going on out there, and not only him, including everybody, but you look at the Carroll football program and where the benefits have gone, and I go out to the games and I watch. The kids being introduced and walked in front of everybody. Yeah. It's a big deal. And, here comes the varsity team out of the locker room, and the kids are lined up, the young kids. Hey, I'm going to be that guy someday, and that's the beauty of it.
Are they in their jerseys, Matt?
They're in their jerseys, baby.
Yep.
They're in their jerseys.
And you know what, Brian? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's how you build a program. And if I'm Coach Dinan, I'm loving on you guys because – you guys are building the foundation. And to me, and obviously we won't get into it, I'm known as probably fighting the hardest for tackle football in the youth. I just think it's so important for the kids to learn when they're young and to have men like you out there that are instructing them and say, hey, you know what? Get back up. This is how we're going to tackle. This is how we're going to learn. And I'll tell you what, Brian, I had a coach one time. He told me, he says, Walburn, why do you think we huddle up every time in football? I said, well, of course, you're going to give me the play. I'm going to call the play. He says, no, you jackass. And he says, that's not why we do it. He says, football is a metaphor of life. And every day is a new day. And every
Gotta
play
get
is a
back
new
up.
play.
So
and you
true.
got to get back up. And that's why I think what you do is what you guys are doing out there. I admire it, man, because we don't have anything on Southwest, man. You know, so what you guys are doing you guys are reinforcing the greatness of what Carroll's going to be. Dave always talks about that Carroll will be the Carmel of Northern Indiana.
I was told,
but
Matt, by Dave Hay back in 2008, I was going to take Ryan there, and I was like, man, this has really changed since we was in high school. And he goes, Dave, we will be Carmel.
Well, and not only that, I mean, and Brian and I talked when we were talking earlier. Dan Ginder has had such a great vision
Oh,
of
he
the
has.
athletic program out there.
You gotta give
And
him a
for
lot of
him,
props.
oh my God, and to have the involvement
Yes.
and just that go to with these guys to be able to use the facilities and be able to, like I said, introduce the kids before a game and have everybody involved. And I've been out watching Carroll football games for a long time, and the thing it's like a little community out there. I mean, it's a
an
little
event.
town.
It's an event, man.
It is. It's
and
Friday
that's
night.
what I think. And you know what? I think you guys just nailed it. It's a community. And if I'm wearing that blue on Friday night, playing under those lights with
Right there.
with
There you go.
exactly, I'm
That's
wearing
right.
that color. And Brian has taught me since third grade. I'm in a community out there playing. I'm telling you what. You're down a touchdown in the third quarter, you're going to play hard. And I think that's
Joe,
something that you just can't – I'm so passionate about. You can't measure that, Dave. You can't measure how hard these kids play for their team and their community.
What you're saying is it creates pride.
Yes.
Yeah, that's well
Thank
said.
you.
And I'll tell you what,
That's it. That's
as a Northrop guy, and I wore a lot of orange to those games because my daughters went there. My son-in-law obviously played there, and now he coaches there.
Yeah, he's a defensive back coach.
And the funny thing is, you just see it. I mean, we were talking about the stadium and the new stadium and how
awesome.
just the amenities of the place compared to the old one. Just
Oh, my.
it was hard to sit in that old one, but this thing's got all the bells and whistles. But again,
I've always loved Spooler Stadium. I mean, it's something special to me.
It is special.
yeah,
But
this one's
looking at Carroll, that's,
dynamic.
that's the Taj Mahal right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And Brian, when you're out there working, obviously you've got to get all the organization done, got to get everything scheduling.
Right.
But when you guys are out there in the field and you see these kids begin to develop, man,
Yeah.
how exciting is that? And what are some of the moments, man, that you guys enjoy the most? Is it just that one-on-one teaching of a kid that's in third or fourth grade and he's just starting to get it,
Yeah.
and you see him get excited about making a tackle?
Yeah, well, I mean that's why you coach, right? You see
Yeah.
that, and there's potential, and you end up building a bond with kids, and there's just this kind of like unwritten code, like, all right, you got it, and you go forward. But there's a lot of our guys that are coach in our league do it because they love it.
Yeah.
And that is so awesome.
You're not
I mean,
getting paid. You're not getting paid
let me
for
tell
this.
you, I
and it's
coach.
long hours too, man.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm going to tell you some long hours. I coached Orange Crush and Carroll Middle for like 3 seasons, and you have to love coaching if you're going to go do that. And there's guys in our league that it's unbelievable what they do, and our board members are unbelievable with the way they serve.
Yeah.
We have a concession stand. We've got a PA system. The kids are getting announced.
I love that.
There's some secret sauces that we've had. We added cheerleading, and that blew up our league.
Yes. Yes.
We added
Because it feels so real.
Once
I mean, you're out there
Yeah.
in fifth grade,
Yeah.
man, and they're
Yeah.
cheerleading. They're like, Dave comes backside and makes the tackle, baby. I mean, that's awesome, man.
Once again, back to the word pride.
Pride,
You got
baby.
these girls now, seeing the older girls on
Yes.
this Friday night lights.
Yeah.
yeah.
They want to be that girl.
Well, and like if your daughters are in cheerleading and somebody asks you about a youth league, well, I know one because my daughter's cheering it now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that helps. And then having some moms on the board has really helped us too with the way they look at it. Dads look at it as X's and O's.
course we do.
Moms add a little bit of, well, what did you guys ever think of this? Did you ever think I had a cheerleading? What about
right.
and then those things
Cheerleading was brilliant, man.
Yeah.
morph into something that helps a lot, the concession stand and things
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and the PA system and playing music before the games and announcing the kids on the field. And one thing that they really love when they go to play for this trophy is, and we were talking about Mr. Ginder, he allows us to play the championship game at that Carroll football field.
That's huge for the kids.
And we get in the press box and we fire up the scoreboard. We get behind the mic and we announce. And, I mean,
That's
it's a
fun,
big
man.
deal to those
Yeah.
kids.
Oh,
Imagine being 10, 11, 12, and you're out there on the high school field and they're announcing so-and-so made the tackle, so-and-so made a touchdown.
See, Joe,
you know what I mean?
coming
That's a
from
big
Powell,
deal.
We had that. I don't even know if we had it in the Super Bowl.
The Powell Bowl.
Powell Bowl. I don't think they announced it was a big deal to get to Spooler Stadium.
Yeah.
But I don't think they announced.
No.
Joe, what was the crazed linebacker this year for Carroll? That was all over the field.
Mr. Dylan Bennett?
Yeah, I love Dylan Bennett. Dylan Bennett played so hard. I mean, and the thing about Carroll is over the years, you know, when Carroll was out playing in the county conference, you know, the old, what is it, the Northeast Hoosier Conference, the old
Yes.
conference.
Yes, sir.
Carroll kind of had a little bit of a reputation with all of us in the city as being a little bit soft.
Yep.
That's long gone.
Long
I mean,
gone.
Carroll came into the Summit Athletic Conference, and I would argue the last 4 or 5 years,
They've owned it.
they are the most physical team, and you guys have
Yeah.
just rolled out kids, not just kids that are physical, but kids like I love Steely, kids that have the
Steely.
instincts. Steely is so well coached and knows the game so well. Justin Anderson's another
sir.
one. I can go through the roster of
Yeah.
and see that's understanding the game at a young age. And that's not only having the passion, you guys nailed it with the pride, Brian, but these kids are learning the game. They're learning to compete, the X's and O's. And that's why I fought so hard against Powell with with all the nonsense with that.
And
Because I'm
nobody's
telling
fought
you,
harder
man,
than you, buddy.
well, I'm telling
No
you,
one
man,
has.
the boys, we need that, man. We need them to come out and physically. When I was up at Columbia City, we had them in second grade. I mean, that might be a little early, but third grade, you want them to come out and learn to tackle, learn to compete, get knocked down. I love you, baby, but you got to get back up.
Yeah.
And I just think the message you guys have,
Yeah.
and then it's brilliant with the cheerleading announcing.
Yeah.
You put all the secret sauce on
Yeah,
it,
I'm telling you.
and what that does is, man, Dave, you said the pride, but it also buries that seed so deep in these boys that love to play. And I just think that's wonderful, Matt. You know,
So my question,
Yes, sir.
Joe had asked you,
Yeah.
you know, about being with the youth early and seeing things.
Yeah.
So was Steely part of the Charger youth?
Oh, yes, sir.
So when did you know with him
it's a dog.
that he was a bad boy?
I would probably say 5th or 6th grade, the kid was an absolute flamethrower.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody was touching that
So
boy.
he's had it for a long time.
Yes, sir. He was known as Little Steely because of his older brother, Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker
He,
was a dog. Tucker
so-
played a trine, Dave. Now
Yeah.
Tucker's going to walk on down at IU. He was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my nephew Austin Keyser. That was his roommate. Tucker was a dog too.
So, yeah, it used to be Little Steely. It's not Little Steely anymore. You see that boy in the Y throwing weights around.
Yeah, he's
He
a
ain't
dog.
Little Steely no more.
Got an offer, just accepted an offer from Western Michigan.
sir.
Oh,
so
you did accept?
Yeah, yeah. Brian,
Yes,
so
sir.
you have a kid like Steely, you know, who's a flamethrower at 5th and 6th grade. Talk about some of the other kids you have to develop, kids you have to
Yeah.
work with. Talk about that role with you guys and
Right.
working with those kids.
Well, you know, a lot of it is, you know, look, you're going to have to play on the line and building that kind of mentality of, you know, giving it up for your teammates and giving it everything you have for the guy behind you.
We
You know
had
what
Joe
I mean?
Tippmann on, and he
So-
thought he was going to be running the ball.
Bro, I deal with that all day, every day, Carroll Middle. You know.
Big Joe thought he was going to be.
Big Joe thought he was going to. Big Joe had what, 11? What those paws were like 11
11 and a
across,
half.
11 and a half paws. Joe thought he was going to
telling
line
you.
up in the backfield.
I shook his hand, and it was like shaking bananas. Like, okay.
So not only do you have to organize, you guys got a great board. You also have to be a little bit of a psychologist too with
Yeah.
these kids, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. You've got to work with them, and I believe in mottos when I coach, and one of my biggest mottos is LEO, and that's love each other. And I'm telling you, if you pour yourself into the kids, it all comes flying back at you.
Yeah.
And they just want to compete, you know. And like you were talking about, it's not win at all costs. Our league isn't win at all costs. We are a developmental league. We're teaching
Correct.
blocking and tackling,
Yes.
and we're growing the love of the game. But we want you to win. We want you to attack every rep with the wanting to win.
Yes, that's brilliant.
And
You hear that?
Matt's-
You hear that?
Matt's always said that.
Yep. You know. Tell them,
All day
Brumby.
long.
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade.
Matt
Right.
always
To get
said,
after
Joe, he always said,
Attack every rep.
Every rep.
but he
Every
always
rep.
said, I don't care if the reserve wins. I
No.
don't.
No, you're
Right.
I
developing.
want them to get prepared.
Right.
These guys are developing these guys for down the road. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. I tell my JV coach every year, I don't care if you win 10 games. I want the guy to be able to come up, and when I plug him in, he's ready,
Ready
to
to
roll.
go.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what they're doing now because they develop at such a young age, and then they go to middle school, and he's obviously, Brian's with the middle school, and
Yes, sir.
And I think Matt Ousley's, is
Yes.
he back in the
I
mix over
coach-
there at Maple
I-
Creek?
Yep, I coach with
And
Matt on
great,
Orange.
Great guy.
Great dude.
guy. And I coach a little baseball with him, and they are true Chargers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, it
there's-
is. They're and the end game is just like Lucas Oil Field or
Well,
Lucas Oil Stadium last
Think about
year.
that, man. I mean, and Carroll has a great offensive coordinator with Andy Papagiannis. Coach Dinan's done a great job. But, Brian, take us back to that November night. What was it like? Because I was walking in Lucas Oil Field, and I don't have the connections with the kids you have. I've done some
Right.
games. I was chanting 2-6-0, beating my chest.
Right.
I mean, what was that like for you, man, to have those kids come up
Right.
and play in the 6A state championship
Right.
game,
I mean,
brother?
that's amazing stuff,
I mean,
right? That's the stuff dreams are made of, and that was an
Yeah.
unbelievable season for
Carroll was so great, man.
And I was just taking it in, but somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, you have a part of this," and I'm like,
You're a big
Do
part.
I?
Oh,
You're a big part.
and then it
Yes,
just kind of
you
hits you
do.
like, okay, well, maybe a little bit, but let's go get after it here, and it was fun. That whole season was fun, and just to see the guys out there, and like I was telling Dave, if you ask some of these guys in high school, what team did you play for at Charge Youth Football? They know.
Yeah.
Then they'll be like, you ask Steely, he'll be like Greyhounds for life.
Greyhounds for life, baby.
I'm not
I love
kidding
it.
though. It matters. You know what I mean?
It
And
does.
like you guys are talking about planting that seed and pride. There's a lot of
Yeah.
pride. Hey, Green Titans won the championship. Blah blah blah. Those kids know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what makes it fun.
Matt, we never, Pal Packers. We was always in the Pal Bowl. I'll never forget that name.
Oh, and you don't ever forget those youth sports, but
And the
again,
coach, Dallas
but
Ramsey.
yeah, but I mean, for
God bless Dallas
for Brian.
Ramsey.
For Brian, I mean, like I said, I can only imagine watching those kids in the state championship.
I couldn't imagine,
And
man,
going-
and being like, those were my dogs, man.
and
I had them when they were
and he
puppies,
took,
man.
Yeah, and he took the approach of no,
You're
it's
a
a
big-
big part.
Now I would have had my
Big
shirt
part.
off, beating my chest, and like, that's my dog.
Yeah.
That's my. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it, man. And people say, Joe, you get so excited on Friday nights when you did games, and
Yeah.
you're up there barking in the press box and calling kids out and getting excited. I just always got so excited because the work the guys were putting in with the youth, whether it's what you guys doing with Charger Youth Football,
Yeah.
Metro, the CYO, because every year the football gets better and better, and these kids are so good and so prepared. And then, Dave, I always got so excited seeing, like, Tay on Saturday. He's going to make his announcement of where he's going to go play college ball. But all the kids, we have so many kids that are off playing college ball now, and I tell you what, a lot of it's because guys like you, those youth coaches, man, make a difference and make the
You
sacrifice.
guys are never forgotten.
Never forgotten,
no.
man. And I'm gonna tell you something else, man. I lost my father when I was young, man, and all I really had was football, man, and showing up, man. 10 years old, losing your father, and there's a youth football coach waiting for me. I'm telling you what,
Yeah.
I know you probably had some stories where guys are in difficult situations. I would go out there, and all the kids would be out there with their dad. And I was out there with the youth coach, and he's like, you know what, man? Don't you worry. I want you to play hard. I'm here for you. And I'm telling you, it meant the world to me.
Yeah.
And so, you probably deal with situations like that, and there's probably
Yeah.
kids that you have to step. A lot of people don't realize when I coached out in the youth in Columbia City, I had to watch it, man, because I had to step in and be dad at times. And I just say, you know what, man,
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to do it. Matt, you've done that.
Yeah,
but speak
absolutely.
to that, Brian. Speak
No,
about,
I-
our
yeah.
society changes. speak to that hat you have to wear.
And he's having to do middle school too.
Well,
Yeah.
so I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with kids losing their moms on Orange. You were talking about Matt
Sure.
Ousley, and he lost his spouse, and
Yeah.
we ended up losing in the last game of the season, and I just you put it in perspective for the kids. Like, look, man, y'all just lost a football game, but Riker lost his mom, and that's a
Right.
real
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah, it's
You know, we got to have his back. When you're in school and
That's
you see
right.
him, you got to have his back. You know, he needs us. He needs to be built up, and I've dealt with it in another situation with death. But, you know, when you're out there, I don't really think like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this player needs a dad or anything. It's not really like that. I
just
just try to be
natural.
authentic. I try to love them.
And the kids see
And-
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and if you care, that's all that really matters. And the kids pick up on that.
They
and they're
do.
like, hey, coach cares. And, you know, one of the greatest compliments I ever got, and shout out to Coach Listinsky, he looked at me, I think it was 2 years ago, 7th grade football, and goes, Coach, they play so hard for you.
Oh,
And
man.
I can't think of a better compliment
best. That's
than
the
that.
best.
You know what? When they asked me when I was doing the games and they asked me on Friday night, they always would say, Brummy, what's the mark of a good coach? Number one, you got to be able to make in-game adjustments, okay? When we have halftime, you get your butts in that locker room as fast as you can, and you're going to get some water and shut up because I'm going to teach. I got to make my adjustments. But the number one mark of a good coach is how hard the kids play for you. Because if the kids play hard for you, you know, Matt, if they love you and respect you,
Yeah.
and you can be tough, but if they love you and respect you, they will give everything they have for you. And to me, Matt, and you can speak to this, that's probably one of the most beautiful things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. Last night, I'm watching the baseball game, all right?
Yep.
And one of my former players texts me, and he goes, you watching that pitcher for LSU? He doesn't have very good tempo. And I'm like, yeah, I'm watching it. Trust
Yeah.
me. And he goes, that's all I could keep hearing, your voice going, tempo, tempo, tempo. So those relationships, when it gets down to
don't
it, though,
forget.
they don't forget. And,
No,
and it's
I mean-
about, hey, I was as hard-nosed a coach as you're going to get. I mean, but I can tell you right now, those guys played their butts off for me, and you know, the respect, you know, both ways, and that's just the compliment of, you know, like I said, a kid called or text you, he hadn't played
Sure.
for you in about
Yeah.
7-8 years, and he's
Was it Haig?
No, it wasn't. It was actually Derek Smiley, who played all kinds of positions for me. He caught a little bit, but I know he goes, I could just hear that in my head, Coach. I could hear it.
I'm gonna tell you.
Tempo.
Oh, I know. I'm going to tell you something else, Brian. I know you guys don't do it purely for the wins and losses.
Right.
I live out Southwest. We don't have a youth program. I bitterly complained about it to where they're tired of me. I said, how can we not have a youth program? Well, we're a 6A program out there. We have tremendous resources. And then I had the whole fight with the full pad flag football
Wow.
that we won't go there tonight. but the point is, here's
all
Carol.
about
Here's I know we'll do an hour and Denise will have to rip my
I could
microphone.
talk all night about football.
Oh man, I tell you what, maybe we'll come back and do it. But here's Carroll with their youth program, just rising, getting better, stronger. It's a community, you see it, and we're out Southwest, and we don't even have a youth program. So how down the line are we as a 6A
You're gonna be-
school?
you're gonna
How are
be
we going
what?
to compete with Carroll? And then I'm going to say this: go back this.
You'll become Northrop.
Well, that's what's happening, and that's why I'm so complaining and mad, and I want to be constructive, but I'm ringing this bell out there. Man, we're in trouble because what's happening is if you go back last year and you take the records of Carroll with their Mighty Youth program, Leo with their Cub program, what Jake and I, just put in at Whitley County. We got guys out at the Whitley that are killing it out there. Norwell, Adams Central. What was Adams Central? 13-1. What was Carroll?
Right.
13-1. What was Columbia City? 11-2. What was Norwell? 11-2. I mean, what was
Leo,
Leo? I mean,
8-4.
so you're looking at maybe about 50 wins with maybe about 8 or 9 losses, and the one thing they have in common, and a lot of the high school coaches get tired of me, but the one thing they have in common is the dominance of the youth program. That's it, man.
If you remember when we had Dean on, Dean Dorfler, he goes, Jason just won more games than his entire Northrop career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The difference is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Brock Robacher was the first one to do the youth, or were you?
To do?
Leo Cub football. I think they was before Charter.
Leo
I
was
wouldn't
before
know.
Charger. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brock did this because he was a pal guy.
Yeah.
Well, he knew to get his kids when he was still coaching.
Sure.
To get his kids up to par, he had to be with them at a young age.
Yes.
But
You
Again,
have to
but
teach it.
again, why don't you want the help?
Exactly.
I don't get it. I mean, again, you've seen the relationship that Coach Dinan has with this program and
Yes,
and,
right.
and Dan Ginder and what they've accomplished. I mean, hey, we all need help at those levels.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, you know. I mean, I had 9 assistant coaches. And because I can't do it all on my own, I don't know everything on my own. I rely on those guys.
Most teams in the area have 3.
And I
He
had
had 9.
But I mean, as far as their program, I mean, it's proven itself, and the beauty is it's going to continue.
Landon Livingston just was texting me right now. He's another Leo Cub football.
Oh, I know. It's and we've had so many good kids come up. But Brian, we're about to get into our rapid fire where we kind of ask you quick questions. But before that, look in the camera, man.
Yes, sir.
And speak to everybody out there about what youth football means to the kids and what it's meant to you, Brian Nix.
Sure. You know, youth football is, I think we talked about it, you know, it's a tool to teach these kids the game of life.
Yes.
Just like you said, you know, you get knocked down, you get back up. I've had so many kids where they come out and we're starting to tackle and they get lit up and I'm right there saying, hey, you know what? That was your welcome to football moment. Now let me tell you how we can fix that. You know what I
You
mean?
don't want it again, listen to me.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. So I, you know, and it's just the kids really, like you guys said, they really, you know, respond and care, and if you love them, they love you right back.
And the bottom line is kids want to be taught.
Yep.
And they want to compete. The kids
Yes.
want to compete. If you can make practice competitive, they will go so hard.
Yeah, little games here and there during
Yes.
practice.
Yes.
That's a great message. Kids want to compete.
Yep.
They do. There's no two ways about it. So, and I love how passionate you guys are about youth football in general. And,
Yeah.
you know, tackling and blocking is the biggest thing,
Yes.
and growing their love for the
That's
game.
how me and Joe got together, by the way.
Oh, really?
I called him. I got his phone number from Zolnik, and I was like, I got to talk to you. And my first words to Matt, my first words to him was, I don't know if you know me or not, but I go, my coach was Dallas Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
He'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
rolling over
Yep.
in his grave right
yes,
now.
Yes,
Yep.
with what they were doing. So let's hope they let's hope Powell gets it together this year. I hope they kick the USA football and the Northern Indiana Football Alliance to the curb and this punter Jason Baker. I won't get into him, but let's hope they put that behind us. And I hope I never, ever, ever see full padded flag football again. But we'll see. We'll put that aside and let's do our little 3-minute
Hey,
segment.
real quick.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, I don't think we'll be getting Jason Baker on the show anytime
No,
soon.
Jason.
Probably not.
No,
Probably
Jason,
not.
No, Jason. Well, no. Okay, we won't go there. Okay. Sonar's lovely wife, Crystal, has a 3-minute segment where we like to ask questions and kind of get a feel for you. So,
Okay.
First question. Obviously, you're busy with the youth football,
Yes,
with
sir.
the middle school, all that. When you do get some slow time, what you watching on Netflix?
I'm more of a sports guy.
Okay.
So any kind of sports show I really like, but I would say that my favorite show is Seinfeld. So if Netflix is
Love it,
on-
man.
You watch that
Seinfeld.
all day?
But, yeah,
every
but, I
day.
mean, people look at me like, "How can you watch that?" My kids are like, "How can you watch that over and over?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't know. That's the way I relax." So,
That's great.
so
So, Brian, what's your favorite restaurant in 260?
that would definitely be the buffalo wings and ribs.
Oh, yeah.
Huge
You mean
wing guy.
original?
Yes, sir.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
There you
That's
go.
what my son loves.
Yes,
you go.
sir. So that's my favorite
that
spot.
opened up my junior year in high school.
Oh, that's great, man. My son
good
loves
place.
that.
I didn't know
Yeah.
what wings was. I had 2 twins from Buffalo, New York. And that thing opened up, and it's like, we got to go. And we lived there forever.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, here's a little trick one for you. This is courtesy of Denise Claxton. If you could meet one person from the past or the present that you could have a conversation with.
man.
Could be anybody, man.
Wow.
We've had people on here that have talked about Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King. We've heard Jesus Christ. We've heard all kinds of different answers.
Yeah.
But for Brian Nix, if you had one person, past or present, that you'd love to sit down and pick their brain or have a cup of coffee with, who would that be?
This one's easy for me. When I was a kid, and you guys talked about Joe Tippmann and want to play running back, I wanted to be Walter Payton.
Man, that's a great Chicago Sonar. Sweetness,
sir.
man.
Bear
Oh.
down.
You know what?
That
you know
was your
what?
goal.
It's funny you mention that because you know what? You see, like, athletes or stars pass away,
Yeah.
and never really ever affected
that would
me
hurt
because
me.
I never met him. I never met Walter Payton. But when Walter Payton passed
I
away,
know where you're going.
remember I was down. I was going to take the CPA exam. I was genuinely depressed and sad because when I was a kid, every Sunday, because when I was a kid, man, there was no Colts here.
Nope.
The
Right.
regional game, tell them, bro. I mean, the
Chicago
regional
Bears.
The
Chicago
regional
Bears.
game was the Bears, and for many years
Bears
when I
on
watched,
CBS and Bengals on.
that's right. And for many years, tell them, Dave, the Bears weren't good.
Right.
The Bears were good in '85, but for many years the Bears were terrible. And I would watch Walter Payton just run everybody over. He could pass, he
arm.
could run, he could stiff arm, he could punt. And that's a great name because you know what? That's the only
That's the only
guy,
one for
Brummy,
me.
that I think passed away that I was genuinely sad because I had just had so much respect for him.
Right.
Watching
I
him.
was sad that he never even got a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was
Yeah.
Ditka handing the ball to the fridge.
Yeah.
That was, you know what? Mike Ditka said that was actually one of his biggest regrets
Yep.
in coaching. So-
Yeah. Do you guys remember when they used to sell the pads and the helmet and the jersey, like
Oh,
in
yeah.
the J.C.
Yep.
Penney catalog?
Yeah.
Oh man. And then I watched that dude on TV, and I'm like, man, I think he can fly. Remember how he
I
used to
can do
jump
this.
over?
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
Mom,
over the-
Dad, I
yeah,
think he can
for
fly.
touchdown. Yeah.
I was just a kid, but I didn't know any better. But yeah,
And you know what?
definitely.
He could have got the liver transplant, and you know what he said? No, I'll wait my turn.
Yep.
What's that say about the man's character?
that's right.
They said, hey, man, your sweetness, man. You're the all-time leading rusher in the NFL at the time. We'll just move you up in line. No. I'll wait my turn. And his turn never came.
Integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah, he always said never die easy, right? That's why he never just ran out of bounds.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never die easy.
That's right.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
So,
So, Brian, last question.
Yes, sir.
What is your greatest sports moment?
Oh, this one's
Can be
easy.
anything.
As far as me, so the middle schools, Maple Creek and
Yeah.
Carroll Middle, they feed into the high school, and we get to play at the Charger Stadium. Okay, so we're playing. I coach the 7th grade. It's 2022, I think, 21. So we play Maple Creek. It goes into overtime. They get the ball first. We stop them. We get the ball, and we score. And just to see the kid's reaction, and the kid that caught the ball to win the game dropped a touchdown pass in the earlier, and I'm like, dude, we're coming right back to you.
yeah.
And he
Wow.
he catches the ball, and it just, that stadium was filled, and it's just great because Carroll Middle's always struggled against Maple Creek. All your Steelies,
Yes.
all your Starks, and all the guys, a lot of them go to Maple Creek. Okay,
Right.
and just to have that, with that win, it was a lot of fun. So for me personally, that was
Nice.
fun.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. And you know what? You're a good man. Thank you for what you do for our youth. And you know what? Everybody out there that's listening, God bless Charger Youth Football. And all of you out there that have a hand in that, from all of us, thank you. And another name spoken with pride, Dave, Brian Nix
And I
from
say-
Charger Youth Football.
Don't ever give in to them.
Don't ever give in. That's right. We love our tackle youth football. I'll never give in. They'll have to. I'll tell you
know
what.
that.
They'll have to
We know
drag.
that.
We know that. That's right. So, thank you, Brian.
Yep.
And again,
Thanks, Brian.
a name spoken with pride. Brian
sir.
Nix of
Appreciate it.
Charger Youth Football. How about another name coming up next? Spoken with pride. The Clubhouse Manager of the Year. If you watch Summit City Sports play-by-play, you know this name. The great Hunter Sosenheimer coming up next on the 260.
It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
It feels like we're taking the crown. It feels like we were born to be champions. We were born to be champions. We were born to have a name in the lights, 'cause we're taking a ride to the top, to the top. Born to be champions. We were born to be champions.
It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260, also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 Podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.
Yes, we are the 260. And a couple of my favorite things tonight, Dave: bodybuilding, pumping the iron, and then we got into the youth football with Brian Nix. So what a great way to roll through the podcast tonight, Dave. And now, something else I love: play-by-play with Summit City Sports, and what Matt Brumbaugh loves, Clubhouse Manager of the Year with my guy Hunter Sosenheimer, baby.
In his first year.
In his first year, yeah. That's 260, Hunter. Yeah, such a talented guy to have on. And Hunter, thanks for joining us. And start a little bit with the baseball, man. I know that with your background, you were a vital part as far as a manager with the Snyder High School football. But let's start a little bit with the baseball and how you got affiliated with the Tin Caps.
So actually, I played baseball when I was a kid a little bit, and then my buddy who I went to high school with at Snyder, he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, we're looking for a clubhouse manager." And me, I'm a big hockey fan. Like, hockey is my number one sport. Like,
Hockey's
that's
your number one sport? I didn't know that about you.
Hockey is my number one sport.
I saw that your room could rival.
Oh, yeah.
Comet Hall of Fame.
Right, yeah. My room was insane when I was growing up as a kid. A bunch of Comet stuff. So,
sure.
Hockey was my big sport. But my buddy Sam reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, do you want to get, like, involved in the baseball world?" And equipment managing is, like, something I did when I was a kid in middle school and then in high school as well. So I was just like, that's something I could see it going down. So I took the offer, and then last year got awarded that award, and I was blown off by it. It was insane.
We were all so proud of you. Now,
right here's some
Matt,
hardware.
Yeah, look at that hardware. I'm gonna pick that up with you, Dave. Look at that, man. Isn't that beautiful sonar? That's a little bit of pride right there in the 260 for Hunter. Now, we'll hold up a little higher. Look at that. Woo! And Matt, what Matt you say? That's
a great piece of wood, right?
That's
there,
a great piece of wood, as Matt says.
Solid.
Now, Dave knows and Matt knows Hunter, but help me out, man. Take me through the role, on how important that is, being the clubhouse manager and all the duties that you have to do?
Oh yeah, people don't see like what we do behind the scenes. Like, I kid you not, we have game weeks, so we have games from Tuesdays to Sunday, and we are there at the stadium probably 40 to 80 hours a week. Like
40 to 80 hours a week?
Yeah,
Might as
we're
well
just
sleep there.
straight. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We used to have a bed in there actually, like in our office, because our office is
Wow.
so big. But yeah, we used to stay there. So we usually are the first ones to arrive to the stadium. We get there, we set up the food, so that way the players, when they arrive, they can eat and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then we go out, set up the waters, like get everything set on the field and stuff like that.
All the balls.
And then, yep, all the balls, batting stuff, anything anybody needs, they come to us and we help them out. And then games go, like once the games are going, that's kind of our like chill time because
Oh, the game is? That's kind of when you
Yeah.
relax a little bit because you have everything set up?
right, yeah. So
Wow.
we're usually like in the dugout just vibing with the players, or we're upstairs like talking with our families and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then after the game is our hardest pace of work. Like we're there, we're doing laundry, like we're getting things set up for the next day. It's a big thing.
How many sets of uniforms do they have?
So we currently have 4 sets of uniforms. So we have our green ones, our red ones, our gray and red ones, and then we have our brown ones as well.
So they got a little bit of
Wow.
leeway, Joe, but they got to keep that cycle
Oh,
motion
yeah.
going.
Yeah. So we actually have like certain days we're supposed to wear certain jerseys.
Right.
Now the players are on the road right now. They're in South Bend, and I was actually just there last night. And they only want to rock the brown unis because that's their winning uni. So they want to keep it. They
So
wanna
that's a
keep it
little
rolling.
change from the players.
Brown
huh?
unis are the San Diego
Yep,
Padres.
yep.
Yeah,
The Padres colors. Yep.
What and Matt, you can pick up on this too. What's it like, the interaction with the players? Because Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, baseball players are some of the most superstitious
Oh boy.
guys, aren't they, Matt?
Yeah, they got a lot of quirks. A lot of quirks.
That's
That's a
best
better
word,
word.
Quirky
Quirks, huh?
and pitchers I didn't like very much because they're even crazier than the quirky players. But yeah, I'm sure Hunter could, the involvement that you have with the players, it's probably about the same as being a player.
Oh
right?
yeah. We're around the players all the time. Like they're really cool. A lot of the guys that we have this year, we can go ahead and use one of your terms. We got some sheepdogs in the locker room.
Sheepdogs.
There
I
we go.
love it. You hear that, Sonar? That's sheepdog.
Yeah, so we got a lot of good guys. It's a fun locker room, a bunch of fun players to
Yeah.
be around. So I'm actually the visiting clubhouse manager. So I work with the visiting teams when they come in.
Oh, so what's that like? Do you now? Do you open up like your relationships when you meet those guys, or are you a little more guarded since they're visiting, or how does that work?
So I actually like open up my relationships. We actually had a kid here from Carroll that was catching last week, Hayden Jones. He plays for the Dayton Dragons in High A now. And so we were in a rain delay last week on a Tuesday. It was the first day they had gotten there. And me and him just sat down. We had a conversation. We were probably conversating for like 45 minutes to
That's
an
cool,
hour. We were
man.
just
That's
talking,
cool.
talking away. So we've actually had some MLB players come through on like rehabs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Who was
fun
that?
to interact with. We had Blake Snell last year.
had Snell
he
here.
pitched for the Tin Caps, and then I got to personally work for Jonathan Scope. He plays second base for the Detroit Tigers right now. And
What's that like, Hunter? I mean, here you have a relationship with Jonathan. You worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what's it like to turn on baseball tonight and see a guy like that play in the big leagues?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I know
it's
him.
crazy.
I know him.
Yeah, you're like, man, I know that guy.
Right. I was like, I just worked for this guy last year. It's awesome to just
fun,
see
man.
to see these guys
See
come.
guys make it.
And he's
yeah.
only done it 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already got the hardware. And he's already got long memories coming for himself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Oh,
only. and he- by the way,
Hunters.
this is a year-round job.
I know it is. But
He
you know
goes
what?
out to Arizona.
You go out to Arizona?
Yep. Spring training sometimes.
Wow,
Yep,
tell us
yep.
about that.
That's a fun experience because then we get to interact with a lot more people. So it's
he's
not
into
just
big boys.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not just the Tin Cap players. You're interacting with the low A, high A, double A, triple A, and even the pros sometimes too. So it's fun stuff.
Now, help me out with this. You've already been the clubhouse manager of the year. Is that something you might take? I mean, is that something you may go to a double A or a triple A at some point? Or how does that work with you? Obviously, you're from the 260. I don't want to see you leave because you do tremendous work on Summit City Sports. But is that something that where you're developing these relationships and
Yeah.
your name's kind of getting around? Do you advance?
have to.
Yeah. So
You would
it's-
think, wouldn't you,
yeah.
Dave?
It'd have to.
So it's kind of like the way the player system works. You're pretty much just waiting for the next guy to take the next step. So
I see.
What you're
you're
waiting for is the next guy to retire.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Clubhouse managing. There's a lot of older
These
guys.
guys
but-
ain't leaving that job.
Yeah. So you're just waiting for guys to either get moved up or they go to different organizations too. Like
Sure.
some guys just move around and want to try out different organizations too. So.
Are you paid by the Tin Caps or by the Padres?
So I'm paid by the Tin Caps right now. So.
Okay.
But there's we don't want to get into that, but there could be some changes. So.
Okay.
Because I was trying to figure out, with you going out to Arizona, I would think Padres would be flipping that bill.
Yeah. So it's part Padres and then part Tin Caps. Wherever we are, that's the way it works. So.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Favorite moment with the guy, or favorite moment that you were involved with, and then of course we got to have the yin and the yang, and then a moment that you just really disliked, that you were just like, man, I hate this.
Are you talking about just the baseball world?
Just
Or-
the baseball
Okay,
world right now.
baseball
We're going to
world.
get to. I'm going to get into a little bit of your Summit City sports, but
Okay.
talk about the baseball world, because obviously, with what you do, man, I mean, you really have an intimate relationship with some of these guys and some of the stuff.
Yeah, so when I'm gonna be honest with you, like you only see these guys, you're only seeing these guys from February till September, but there are some that get traded at the trade deadline and stuff like that. So we actually had 2 guys last year that I had gotten like really, really close with from the start of the season, and then they got traded at the trade deadline. But I still like talk to them every other week. Like I just always chime in, check in on them, and stuff like that.
So that had to be hard to see them go, huh?
Yeah. It was a bummer to see him go, but then like they're gonna go off and do bigger things.
Was that
soon.
part of that big trade with the player for the
Juan Soto.
Padres?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
because there was a bunch of guys I saw Fort Wayne. There was a lot of guys that kind of got moved in, and there was a couple of our guys were kind of like last-minute additions to make it happen, weren't
Yeah,
they?
it was
Fill in the deal.
It was crazy. We actually on the trade deadline day we lost 5 guys, so we actually had one of our catchers actually playing second base
Oh my
because
gosh,
of how short we were on guys. So
those deadlines, bro.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the tough one.
yeah.
What's one of the dearest memories so far that you've had with the Tin Caps?
Man, just winning this award, I got it presented to a few weeks or a month ago, I think it was, or something like that.
So you just got it this
Yeah,
year.
he just
Yeah,
got
I
it, man. That
so-
just came, yeah.
Yeah, so it was from this past year, but they ended up
Presenting it.
Yeah, because all the minor league clubhouse managers that got that award got them presented to him this year. So, and that was just a fun moment, seeing like my name like on the video board. You have all these fans just like looking at you. They're like, man, this guy just won an award, and I was one of 16 clubhouse managers to win it. So it was a surreal moment.
And
It's awesome.
Joe, I want to say something. Talk about your illness and how you didn't get to play sports.
Yep.
If you look at the guy's attitude,
that's what I was going to bring up.
I want to know how not being able to play sports, being a hockey #1 fan, doing this, you're still a fan.
Right.
So talk about your journey to get.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I actually had surgery on my neck and was told that I wasn't going to be able to play sports again. So then you're a big sports fan. Like I'm a huge sports fan at this time. So I'm just looking for like different routes to go out. So whether it's
Part of it.
broadcasting, whether it's equipment managing.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
started equipment managing for Blackhawk Middle School, the basketball team there, and that was a fun time there. And then I got introduced to Coach Kurt Tittman at Snyder High School,
Yep.
and that was right my first year I got there. They won that state championship 2015. I was on the sidelines with them.
That was
like,
an amazing state champion.
Oh,
that may
was-
have been the most exciting. If you liked offense, that was your state championship
Oh yeah,
game.
that was a very
against
fun
New
game
Powell.
to be a part
Yeah.
of.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had the Isaac Stiebling, Matt Kippenhammer,
Oh,
all
those
those
guys were
like,
great, man.
Those guys were insane. So that started out, and then I kind of got introduced after I graduated. I got introduced to the broadcasting world, and then Jeff Mahoney reached out to me, and
Yeah,
so I've been at Summit City Sports since, and that's kind of like what I do in my off-season type of work. I go out on Friday nights and give back to these high schoolers that
Yeah, you
actually
do
get to
give
do
back.
these stuff,
Yes.
do this stuff that I didn't get to do. So.
Well, like I was saying, you have a great attitude going forward, and not being able to play, you still get to make your mark.
Right. Yep.
He did, and that's why this beautiful bat, when he got this, I was so fired up.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yep.
I know what Hunter lost with that neck injury.
Yep.
And we all knew it. And Hunter always goes out to Summit City and lays down a great broadcast with so much passion. And to win this award, it just felt so appropriate, because that's why I wanted to have you on with your journey.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have lost sports at 11 years old, I may end up in the penitentiary, Sonar. You know what I mean? I mean, it may have been 50-50. I admire your journey, man, because one door closed for Hunter Sosenheimer, and you kicked open another door, man.
Three doors.
And that's why I was so fired up when you won that award. And whenever I listened to you on Summit City Sports, I knew your background, knew your story, man. And I just think it's very inspirational.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy doing it. It's something, like I said, once I was not able to play sports again, I wanted to stay involved in sports, so I had to find something to do, and I'm glad I'm still doing it to this day. It's fun stuff.
Passion. You know, we keep talking about passion.
Yeah, Dave nailed last segment with pride, and you just nailed that one with passion, man.
Passion.
So,
yeah, and it's beautiful.
I've told Joe this, and we get the season, what is this, our 16th show now?
16th show, Dave.
So I wanted to have Fitzy and Skylar on from the Comets, which you're friends with.
Oh, yeah, good guys.
And time just got away from us. And I know what those guys go through. And your job is not easy.
Yeah.
No.
Because you're at their call all the time.
Right, yeah, we're there. Like I said, it feels like we're there 24/7 on game weeks. We're always moving, so.
Probably
Always
pulling
doing
tarps too every once in a while, aren't you?
No, I
You don't
you
don't have to do that.
I stay away from that
Yeah,
stuff.
you got to stay away. Hey, you got to stay away from Keith Winter, man. That guy.
Keith will mess you up real
He'll
quick.
find you and he'll get after you.
He already gets mad at us for throwing seeds on. We're putting those seeds on the field.
Oh
so.
yeah. He's
He
not a
gets
happy
mad
guy.
at you guys even?
You said what?
He gets mad at you guys?
Yeah, because we're the ones that put him out there. But hey, it's a part of the game.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game. Yep.
Man,
Yeah, what about what guys are into what the seeds and all
doesn't
that?
like
They're
it.
spitting them. He didn't like them on his
He
grass.
doesn't like that seed on his dirt, grass, dugout, nothing.
He wants to cancel. You know how the high schools play at the stadium?
Yes,
And I know Keith. I've done some things for him. He's a great guy.
great guy.
He is.
But that field is his baby.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
his
Yeah.
pride.
He wants those. He don't want those kids playing on that field.
no.
It's like that. We had an old man we lived next to when I grew up, man. And the first day we moved in, man, the old man, my mother sent some cookies over, and he kind of looked at me and took the cookies. And I thought, well, that's a strange old man. After that, if a ball went in his yard, or if you walked across his yard, or you made a tackle in his yard, he came out and stood and looked at you.
That's Keith.
I mean,
That's Keith.
You stay off that grass,
Yeah.
man. And that old man had a little bit of a presence about him. He's probably about 85 years old.
He was
You know?
he was happy.
Is that how Keith is?
The only time he was happy is if you were playing a game as a high school coach and you brought a bat boy, so you didn't have that bat being tossed around that grass. He was like, he was your buddy then, man. He'll sit in that dugout and talk to you all day long. But if you did,
Shouts out to Keith.
And Keith played ball.
I know he did. Keith was a
good
heck of a-
guy. Hey, he's a great guy. And
Yeah.
that facility,
Oh, it's
the
amazing.
playing surface, top
But like
notch.
Hunter said, seeds and baseball go together.
Yeah.
They do, man. You got to have guys always had something they were chewing on, right? Okay,
They
now
can't chew tobacco anymore.
I said, well, my guys, some of my assistant coaches might be laying down a little bit of tobacco.
a little bit
every
of tobacco
once in a while.
juice, yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
a little bit of dip, right? Boys were boys, but let's pivot now. Talk to me about Summit City Sports, man. You've really done a nice job over there calling games. Talk to me about the first game and how you got going on it. And Jeff Mahoney's given so many guys opportunities. I love Jeff. Talk about just kind of that connection with Jeff and Summit City. And Dave had a great idea, and I'm going to reach out to Jeff. We would like to do a show, a 260 podcast on
that.
Summit City because
I think that'd be a great show.
it'd be a great show. The great Jeff Mahoney and
it's a
Tim
260
Atkinson.
story.
Yeah.
That's a story because Jeff and Tim took out a camera and started getting the highlights. And there's some guys that, Pat Reith, who always ran the camera. Pat's fantastic. There's so many great guys behind that. But talk to us a little bit about how that journey began and the courage. It's not easy, man, to put that headset on and to start that and do those broadcasts.
Oh yeah, big time. So when I actually got told I couldn't play sports again, Bob Chase, he used to broadcast for the Comets. He's
Yes.
a big name in Fort Wayne. He's actually like one person I idled and stuff like that. So before Comet games, like I would actually go upstairs. We knew a few Comet people, so we got like the exclusive access. So I'd go upstairs. I'd like talk to them before games and
Wow.
stuff like that, and kind of get my ball rolling. And then once I graduated high school, reached out to Jeff Mahoney, and he was like, "Hey, go shadow Tim Atkinson at this St. Francis soccer game." And
SummitCitySports.com.
I smoke for a living, but I think he does it more.
Oh man, I feel like every time he goes SummitCitySports.com, there should be like a pack of Marlboro that just like rises up on the TV, man.
Smoke's coming out.
Yeah. So you're gonna shadow the great Tim Atkinson.
Yep, you're sitting in the press box with Tim Atkinson, and you're just like, man, is this something like I really want to do? And then as it goes on and on, you get used to it, and then Jeff Mahoney's like, here, we're going to put you on this football game. I ran camera for my first year. So running camera, you had to get the head start.
Get the feel for it.
And you're listening to these guys broadcast. So I'm working with Tim Atkinson. I'm listening to him broadcast and stuff like that. And then you finally get the call at the fall game. I think Woodland.
What was your first game? I was going to ask you.
It was Woodland. I can't remember who they were playing off the top of my head, but it was a Woodland game. It was out in the country, so
yeah,
and
baby.
it was a very, very, very fun time. And I was just like, man,
what'd that feel like, man? When that mic fired up, man.
Yeah,
and they say, man, here you go, man. We're gonna give you a 5-second countdown. They fired it up. What was that moment like?
It was awesome. I had all my papers in front of me.
Yes.
Was ready, all my prep work, and I was ready to go. And man, it's been a fun journey ever since, and I really, really love doing it. So
that's gotta be tell me if I'm wrong. Doing those games has to be the fastest 2.5 hours or 3 hours of your life, isn't it?
Oh yeah. And that's one thing I strive for when I'm doing the broadcast is giving back to these players. These players are out here working their tails off, working for scholarships and stuff like that. And you're just here. You want to give them the spotlight and let them show. So that's one thing I strive. That's one thing that goes through my head. There'll be some days where I'll show up and I'll just be like, man, I don't even want to do this game. We had one game. It was a girls' basketball game. I can't remember off the top of my head who was playing, but there was 10 people in the gym, and you're everybody can hear you talking.
Yes,
everybody can hear you.
Those are people don't realize the hardest games are the ones where nobody's in the stands because all of a sudden people are sitting there looking at you and listening to you. I don't know if you feel like this, Hunter, but I always felt like when we did games, I feel like they say, Joe, we're going to plug your mic, and I feel like it's Brumby and I sitting there having a beer or something watching the game. That's kind of how I guess Jeff and I would be sitting there. It's like I'm having a beer with Jeff, and we'll watch him ball, So I didn't think a whole lot of it. But when there's not a lot of people there and they can hear you and people are looking at you while you're doing it, I don't know, man. That always was a little bit more difficult for me. But
Hunter, you said your first game was at the Woodland game. Mm-hmm. How do you rate your performance?
Oh,
scale of 1 to 10.
To start off, I would give it a solid 4. I wasn't prepared for it, but then as you get going and as you get doing it and stuff like that, you start to grow.
I had asked Joe about his first game, and he was forced into doing it by his dad.
Yeah, my stepdad owned WGL. This is about 1997. I just got done playing college ball. My hands
he had
were
no
all
interest
beat
in
up.
doing this.
I was kind of a little bit tired of football because it took about 6 months for my hands, the swelling of my hands to get better, and I was trying to focus and work towards my CPA license. And it was the first game of the year. It was the kickoff, 1997.
Man, that was before I was born.
I know. That's how deep I go. I did Rex Grossman State Championship. I mean, I've been doing games for I tell people, man, I've done games where I'm like, I either played with his daddy or did the game. But once I've done the games with Grandpa, that's when I got to quit. But the color guy called in sick 2 hours for the game,
himself.
and I'm like, I'm in the conference room with my mother and my stepfather, and I'm like, man, that sucks, man, because who calls in 2 hours for a broadcast? That's a shame. And my stepdad was, barking profanities. We got $60,000-$70,000 in this, and my stepdad didn't really like ball. He called it ball. He thought we got all this money on this ball. Now we don't have a color man. What are we gonna do? And I said, man, that's really tough, man. I said, I guess maybe the play-by-play guy will have to go solo. And I remember he kicked a chair and he was barking, and I saw him turn real quick and look at me. He says, well, you played, ball. I said, yeah.
I don't know.
You're going to do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. I've never done a broadcast in my life. I just got over stuttering about 3 or 4 years ago. I had a tremendous stuttering problem. He's like, you're going to do the game. I said, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Well, if you knew the great Frank Covis, when he gave an order, you obeyed. So there I went out.
Especially a family order.
So there I went out to do the game. That's right. And I had no notes. I was unprepared. And I'll be honest, I feel like I really made an ass of myself. And you know what, though, Hunter? I don't know if you felt like this. I think yours went much better. That was the best thing, Sonar, that ever happened to me, because after that I swore to myself, man, I will never, ever be embarrassed like that again. And after that, I prepared 3-4 hours for every single broadcast. And I would break down the schemes of the team, mock the game up. And then after that, it was just like,
But
that's
Joe,
how it started, man.
But you also thought you was one and done, and Daddy
that
said,
was it.
Daddy said no.
That was
you're,
it.
You're
He
going
said,
back
you're going
in.
right back out there, and that's how I
was like, no.
Believe it or not, man, it's like we all have a start, don't we, Brummy? I mean, sometimes you're just thrown in the fire, man.
So
But
he got a 4 out of 10. What'd you get?
a 1. I mean, if it was me, I would have been
you
like,
beat the great Joe Walbert.
I mean, if it was me, I went up at a halftime and been like, look, man, get lost. You know what I mean? I mean, you were – actually, I remember that night, halftime came, Sonar. I was so bad. I went down, I like ate a hot dog, and I was like trying to convince myself it's not that bad. And I came back up, and I remember there was a guy sitting next to me in the box, and he kind of like got up and moved. And I'm like, man, he doesn't even want to hear me. You know what I mean? But isn't it amazing, though, Hunter, the journey? I mean, think about your journey, man. I mean, okay, you can't do the sports. Just moved on, man, and got busy with everything else, and clubhouse manager, and giving back to the high school with the play-by-play. What's the game that stuck out to you the most that you called in high school? What's that one game, man, that was just unbelievable, man?
Ooh, that's a very tough one. I've got some tops. Last year, I was at Huntington North for the girls basketball sectional championship.
Yeah.
And there was
Homestead.
It was Homestead versus Columbia City.
Oh, okay,
And,
yeah.
They had the freshman Maya Epps at the free throw line. She had to hit 3 free throws to win the game. Otherwise, it was going into OT. And, like, just sitting there calling it, you got all these fans, like, on their feet and stuff like that, and you just got to make it exciting. So that was a really, really good moment. And then I had one in basketball, Woodland versus Leo. It was the buzzer beater by Braden Smith. I think it was about 2 years ago or something like that. I can't even remember, but that was a surreal moment. It was a buzzer beater from like 15 feet beyond the three-point line. It was half court, and it was awesome. And then I found out that I made the news on that call. Like, they put it on the news and stuff like that.
That's
and I was
awesome,
just
man.
like, man, that's crazy.
Woo, that's
crazy.
great. What's next for Hunter Sosenheimer? Where are you going, man?
So I'm going to continue working for the Tin Caps. Actually, I want to bring up this story that ties in with the Tin Caps and broadcasting if I have time.
Sure, go ahead.
So they do the winter meetings is when they decide that awards and stuff like that. So I was in Concordia's basketball gym. It's the Cage. It's the hottest gym in the world, but it's a very, very unique gym.
Love
So
it.
I was actually sitting there getting ready to broadcast the game. 2 minutes before I go on the broadcast, I flip up my phone, and I get a text from our team president, Mike Nutter, that I had won this award, and it was just It was bizarre. Like it was insane.
And you totally didn't expect it?
Yeah, I didn't expect it
Wow.
either. It came out of the blue, and then I went on to I was 2 minutes from broadcasting, so I had to sit there and I had to just
So you couldn't even call your mom and dad?
Yeah,
You had to
no.
calm
It
down,
was
get
like-
ready for a broadcast.
It was like I had to calm down and lock in for this broadcast and stuff like that. And then halftime came around, and I flipped up my phone, and it was just like 30 messages blowing up my phone, and I was just like, yeah, I got to shut my phone off so I can do this broadcast. So that was a very, very, very fun moment.
What's it like to work for Mr. Nutter?
Oh, it's awesome. He is probably one of the most incredible people
He
I've
seems
ever
like
worked
a
for.
genuine man.
Yeah, he is awesome. He actually just won, on top of that award, he actually won President of the Year, Team President of the Year last year. So he's an awesome person to work for. He's probably the best person I've worked for. But
We'd love to get him on the show because
he'd be a great one.
He's great for the 260 itself.
Yeah, so the clubhouse managing, I'm still continuing to do and stuff like that. And then I think I'm going to go back to broadcasting this fall as well. Try to get back on the mic, and we'll continue to see. I'm just kind of like opening doors right now to see which path I want to go down because I have so many options to go down. So I'm just trying to see where exactly I want to go.
Do you think, though, on your journey, you've kind of found a lot of the stuff that you're passionate about? I mean, do you think you're on the right? You talk about your path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this journey that really started when you were 11. Do you think you're heading down that right path of what you want?
Yeah. So getting this job last year with the Tin Caps, it exposed me a lot and stuff like that. And then obviously, like I said, on the broadcasting scene, I've been doing that for quite a while. And the amount of people that tune into those games, it's bizarre. So
yeah, it's amazing. I think last year we did the Snyder Northside game in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, that
Oh, you
Summit.
two work together?
No, I didn't do it with Hunter. I did that one with Jeff, but Hunter's did big games too. But they'll have 20,000 people that will watch a game. I mean, you'll have big games. And Hunter's right. When you put like all the games together, there's probably about 3 or 4 crews we'd all work on, man. You put them all together, we'd probably have an audience of 30, 40, 45,000 people every Friday night, man. And you know, when you put that in perspective, because, you know, when you think about it, you'll have a big rock concert. Well, you know, you'll have 10, 12,000 people will come to the Coliseum, and you think, my God, that's a huge concert. Well, man, on Friday Night Lights, man, lock down 30, 40,000 people viewing.
Yeah, people that are not in the stands, they're
Yes,
watching from
yes.
home. So I always, that's funny, I always pull up.
I watch every Friday night, me and my wife.
I pull up my view count at halftime whenever I'm doing a game just
Yeah.
to like see like what type of audiences I'm getting. And there'll be some that'll shock me, and there'll be some that'll be like, holy cow, I have this many people listening to me right now. It's crazy.
Hunter, Joe asked which door you're going to take. Now, I've heard, Matt's probably too, but I've heard some crazy stories of clubbies in the show.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of money that the players are paying them.
Yep. Yeah,
For
yeah.
what? Guys like tipping
Tip.
guys like that,
Tip,
taking
man.
care of them.
They got that
yeah,
tip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And
want
we're
to take
talking
care of them, don't they,
big
Brummy?
money, Joe.
That's how I make the majority of my money is coming from those tips. So.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Wow,
so
guys.
you guys are getting tipped.
Oh yeah. Yep. We get tipped too.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Yep.
What's the best tip you've had so far?
Jonathan Scope last year. The big leaguers
Big
when they
leaguer.
come down,
Yeah.
the big leaguers when they come down, they take care of you. They'll hand you a couple $100 and they'll be like, "This is nothing to me. This is like $1 to me."
Wow, it's nice they appreciate that.
Yeah.
though.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the fun part.
Because-
And see, that's what like a guy who enjoys baseball. That's the stuff I don't know about, and I love to hear the stories behind the scenes.
Well, hey,
Matt.
I mean, I can remember when
Rolex watches.
Eric Wedge got called up to the Red Sox, and he went in to grab his bags, and no, don't do that. That's
We do
what these
that.
guys
Yep.
are for. Yeah, you don't
Wow.
touch it. You give us a little
Wow.
money on the other end, but
They're just
you
like
know, even
when you're at the airport down
My-
in Miami.
yeah.
Don't touch the bags. I got it. You're
Yeah.
going to tip
well,
me.
like
Don't touch the bag, sonar.
Here's a question I got for Hunter. Like you said, you set up the food for him before the game. What kind of spread did they have?
So a lot of times it's like Chipotle, Qdoba. It's like the big protein meals. And there'll be when those big leaguers come down. Man, I tell you what, you got Jonathan Scope last year. He bought his whole entire team. P.F. Chang's.
Love it.
Blake
Wow.
Snell was
Yep.
here last year. He bought his whole team. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. So
Wow,
when
man.
those big
That's
leaguers
what they
come
do.
out-
That's
big
when those
leaguers
guys come down.
they-
That's their thing.
Yeah, you imagine Clonar. Hey, is that does that plate sizzle in the locker room from Ruth Chris, man? How about that, man?
Yeah.
So, wow,
That
that's
was a
big
bill.
time.
It's awesome.
That's big time, man. So last question before we get into the we have a segment we like to ask questions with the 3 minutes, but look in the camera, man. If there's a kid out there who isn't going to play sports or maybe has something that you had to deal with, has a surgery, look in that camera and give that message, man. What is your message to that kid?
If you just want to get back to sports, like try to find an open door. Like I said, I had this surgery and it was just like I couldn't go down that route. So if you can't go down one route, there's always another route to go down, and that's the one I've hit. So
Great story.
awesome.
Great story,
It's
yes.
wonderfully said.
Great message. Dave, you want to start with the 3 minutes with Hunter?
I'm going to take my question back.
Uh-oh.
What are you watching on Netflix when you do get a chance?
Man,
'Cause I don't
even
think you
have
get
time.
you don't have a chance.
They don't have
Yeah,
a
no,
chance
not
in the clubhouse.
Not really at all, but I mean, I'm just a sports show. Like if I'm not working a baseball game, like the Tin Caps, when they're not playing at home, I'm watching them on the road. Or sometimes I'll even go to road games. I was actually just in South Bend last night, so I'm just watching sports. That's my main thing.
That's
So-
your main thing, huh?
So you went last night.
Yep. Yeah.
Was that as a fan or was you working?
So I actually went as a fan last night. So
Okay.
I try to go to games.
You can't get
every
enough
now
of
and
it,
then.
Joe.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if I'm the guys, I love that he's
Yeah.
supportive of that.
Yep.
Since you're a big fan, this is a question for you. We'll kind of move away just for a second. This is a question for you and Matt Brumbaugh. Who's going to win that College World Series, guys? It looks like Florida's in the driver's seat now. You've been following that, Hunter?
Yeah, a little bit. I think Wake Forest, to be honest, has the best shot to me. That's my my prediction.
Isn't Wake Forest, Matt, locked in a war with LSU right now?
We're 0-0 right now in the third. Skeens is throwing for LSU.
We gotta get you out of here then. So you
Louder's throwing for Wake Forest. So that's where I think LSU or Florida has the advantage now because they start again on Saturday. Now, Wake Forest has a tremendous pitching staff, and if they do get by tonight, they've got the moving parts on the pitching staff to get
LSU.
through that.
You like
But
LSU?
if LSU wins, man, they're just gutty.
LSU.
They're that
LSU.
team that just kind of
Took care of Tennessee. I thought Tennessee had a chance, but LSU just kind of.
Even last night, I mean, all of a sudden it's just like that Beloso. He doesn't even look like a baseball player.
He
He
doesn't,
looks like
does
that
he?
rec league guy that just wants to pound a ball. And he's had a tremendous World Series. And when he hit that 3-run homer, man, it was over.
How fun is Omaha to watch that, man?
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me, that's baseball, man.
That's
Looks
on my
like what he's
bucket.
wearing right now.
That's my bucket list to
I
get
know
out
it.
there.
Yeah.
I was talking about that on Sunday. How I got to find a way to get out
Find a
there.
way to
Just
get out
spend
there.
a week. Spend the whole week out there.
Okay, Hunter, this is a little more of a tougher question. Compliments of Denise Claxton. Past or present? If you could have a cup of coffee with any person, okay, past or present, and have that conversation, who would be that one person in history or that person right now that Hunter Sosenheimer would love to have a conversation with?
It would actually be Doc Emmerich. He's a broadcaster
Wow.
in the hockey world, and he's
Well, great
260 guy.
yeah, he's somebody
great
I've
answer.
he's somebody I've idoled a lot. Like when I go to watch games, like he's somebody I miss right now. Like NHL hockey, it's different without him. So he's one person
But
I'll
he got, correct, Matt? Didn't he start here?
Yeah, he actually
Through Bob
was
Chase?
born in LaFountain, or lived in LaFountain, Indiana, right around Huntington.
Wow.
And he, again, was idled. His
Chase.
idol was Chaser.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing, those
It's a
roots?
good, it
Yeah.
is.
Isn't it
Yeah.
amazing, those roots?
And he came back.
He made it bigger than Chase,
They
man.
did a game together. They
Yeah, he
got
came
it
back
in
for that.
How
it's
cool is
awesome.
that, man? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chase got his start for him, and he came back and did the show before Bob.
He said he listened to Whoa Whoa all the time. He just kind of same thing that Hunter is doing. You emulate your
Yeah,
idols.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you
You pick up
perfect your
those
craft.
idiosyncrasies, yeah.
Yeah.
Before I get to my hot take, Joe, I know you're football and everything. Who was your, let's say, commentator? Did you ever have a commentator that you emulate? Try to do your games as?
I don't emulate it. I didn't emulate him, but I always admired the passion and the energy that John Madden had.
Okay.
I felt like John Madden would do a game, and he would get excited over the sweat on a guy's pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he would get excited over food and sweat on pants and this and that. And when we do Summit City, Hunter, you'll know this. I always go out and I drink one Red Bull. And I'm always kind of flying high as it is to begin with. I'm excited. And I just feel like, man, if you can go out there and have the passion. So I don't know if I so much emulate anybody.
Hearing
but
you talk, you know your X's and O's better than anybody.
Yeah, I study. I you know what? People don't realize. People think, man, how do you do that? When I was working with Summit City, I watched every game the week before. I'd watch all the tapes. And then, really watch the tapes. And then that Thursday, Denise could tell you, I begin to work on those games that Thursday night. I probably do 3-4 hours. And then I'd always take an hour or two in the afternoon before the game thinking, okay, what would happen? What would I do if this situation would have happened, this or that? And then I always told myself, go out there and celebrate the kids. And if you get a little silly sometimes, if you get to screaming, like the whole I see you started when I would get so excited on that replay. And I love the replay, Hunter, because you can see, man. Yeah. And so I don't know about you. So it was just, I think it's just the pure love. And like Hunter said it well, you want to celebrate the kids. And so, but I always kind of like the way John Madden rolled out there.
It's interesting you say that because I see a lot now that you say it.
Yeah, I like the way that he had the energy. John Madden would get excited talking about the concession stand. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I just always thought that was passion. But
well, here's my question to you: what's your favorite restaurant in the fort?
So there's two restaurants actually downtown that we go to at least probably once a week on game week. So Sydney's Diner is a good spot to hit for the breakfast.
Don't they have like that? Do they still have like that? Well, they have all that stuff thrown together in a plate.
Yep.
Garbage. Thank you.
That garbage
See, Denise is always on it, Sonar.
Yep.
Whether it's a 10-page outline. Thank you, Denise.
Yeah,
garbage. That I used to eat that when I worked downtown.
Yep.
25 years ago.
What's
yeah,
your-
we
what's
go
your second
there.
one?
We go there once or twice every week. The
Yeah,
garbage
Cindy's.
plate's where it's at, and then Coney Island too.
Oh,
Coney
man.
Island, got Fort
They-
Wayne famous.
So-
Shout out to him.
How many can you lay down, brother?
Ooh,
on a
Island-
good day, if you're, let's say you didn't have lunch, you're hungry, you're working hard at the stadium, how many conies can Hunter lay down?
Ooh, we can throw down about 4 or 5. 4 or
Oh,
5.
okay, man. I tell you what, I'd roll through a dozen, big boy. I mean, I've rolled through a dozen. You know what we used to do? This is a great story with Coney Island,
I
man.
sent him my list of what I had.
I rolled through it.
Joe goes,
Yeah,
Joe goes, I could do 12.
Yeah, I could roll.
He goes easy.
I could roll down 12 conies when I worked down at the firm downtown 25 years ago. We were all kind of young professionals trying to get our CPA exam, and all the partners were older. And they would always watch to see who worked long and hard on Saturdays. And we'd work 70, 80 hours a week, man, in a CPA firm. It was like dropping 5 dogs in a bucket. We're going to see who can get the license and who can survive the work. And we were all battling. But whoever left first on Saturday, Denise, we would always go to Coney Island on Saturday. And big boy, I just got done playing ball. I had no problem rolling through 12 conies, okay? But the key was we would keep the wrappers or take them back to the office. First
Put 'em
guy
in
that would leave the office first, those conies, and I always kept one extra coney, a full coney. So I'd take that coney, wrap it with the wrapper sonar, and we put it in that guy's cubicle or his office on Saturday. And guys didn't work on Sunday, right?
Smell.
So if I was the last one out on Saturday about 9 o'clock, I'd lay that coney right under his seat, man. And when you came in on Monday, you talk about there's like a certain smell. And Hunter, you know because you're in the locker rooms, and Brummy, you and Dave know there's a certain smell in a locker room, in a football locker room, after you've practiced in the rain and you
Yep.
come in the next day.
Nasty.
It's a tell him, Brummy.
It lingers.
It's a
It
smell.
lingers for a long time.
It's a smell you never forget.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
couldn't
no.
get it out of Northern Stadium.
No.
That's
period.
right.
No.
And then, but a coney wrapped in coney wrappers after about a day and a half, that's a smell that just never quite leaves the office.
I did the same with Powers slider to a guy. I couldn't stand this guy.
Oh,
I
man.
set it right behind the desk.
I saw that movie with those old men where they were putting fish underneath.
Yeah.
Remember those guys? And they'd put the fish underneath the car, underneath the seat. That's how we used to do with the conies. But, man, I'd roll through a dozen conies, bro. No
What-
problem with the Coke.
What's your favorite Mexican?
Probably Cebollas. Cebollas is the spot.
Okay. Last question. When you lay your head down at night, what's that one sport moment, man, that Hunter Sosenheimer thinks about, man? Your favorite sport moment. I think I might know what it is, but what's that moment that you dream of when you lay down at night, Hunter?
So there's actually the two. So obviously this one's the one, and then that state championship in 2015, like the amount of hours you put in for that, and just knowing that you were like on the field working. Like I was a freshman going in there, so obviously like I didn't know the big dogs to start. I didn't know the Isaac Stieblings, Malik Bramley, David Turner, Matt Kippenhammer. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know those guys to start, and then like as the year goes on, you start to know them a little bit, and then it starts to become a brotherhood and stuff like that. And then that's how, man, that game was probably, I was on the sideline filling up those waters, and my heart was through the roof, man. It was insane. And then the comebacks, the 64-61, breaking all those records, it was nuts.
Probably one of the greatest games, and typically you don't see the games that great in the state championship.
Yep.
You know, not to have that much suspense, that much offense, but that Snyder-Newpile game was maybe one of the greatest state championship games of all time.
Yeah, getting that blue ribbon putting over your neck,
Yeah.
it's awesome. And then getting your state
Validates
rings
all the
too.
hard work you did.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Getting the,
and you feel like a team, man.
Yep.
I'd say football manager is probably the hardest.
Oh, man, you got
like
to,
you
man.
said, that blue ribbon's a lot better than
Oh,
that
yeah.
red
Red
one.
ribbon.
Yeah.
Oh, that blue one's
And then
real
getting
good.
your state ring the next year when you're going back to school, they're like giving you a box, and you open that thing up for the first time, and you're just like, man, things blinging.
You still look at it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I still have it.
No, I mean, do you still pull it out and look at it?
Oh yeah, and then I pull it out for some broadcasts every now and then.
Oh, do you?
Every time I broadcast Snyder, that's like that.
Gotta
that's
wear
like,
that,
You gotta
man.
you gotta like you got to kind of do something for. So like I'm a Snyder kid, so like you can't cheer on a broadcast. Like you can't cheer for a certain team on a broadcast. So like when I'm doing Snyder games and stuff like that, like I'm always wearing it. And then you'll see the former coaches and stuff like that. You're walking down the sideline, you see those guys. They're just like, man, look at what you're doing now. It's crazy.
Proud of you, man.
Very.
You know what? Proud of your journey.
Proud of you, Joe, getting him on. That was
Great
story.
guest. Another great story. A guy, Hunter Sosenheimer, one door closes, kicks open the next door. And another name that will always be spoken with pride in the 260, Hunter Sosenheimer. Thank you, Hunter.
I'd like you to stay in the fort, but then again, I'm hoping you move on, man.
Yep.
And Dave and Denise
don't
and
forget about
Ryan
us.
and Sonar and Brummy, thank you again for a great show. I tell you what, number 16 is hard to believe we've come this far, but it's just awesome to be a part of it with you guys.
Thank you to Spiece.
Thank you to Spiece. And I tell you what, it's great to have Max Coffee, a.k.a. Max Strong, on tonight, pumping up those Spiece memberships. And it's great to see Max really break through with the bodybuilding. Hunter, you break through with Clubhouse Manager of the Year. Thank you to Brian Nix, getting all of our young kids ready to play. And as always, Brummy, Dave, thank you for another great show. And as always, we are the 260.
It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m. Just search the 260. Also available anywhere you find your podcasts. And remember, when searching, there are no zeros in the 260. It's the 260 podcast, live from Spiece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m.